there is certainly a lot of repair that happens. I mean, your immune system gets an overhaul, it kicks into high gear, it repairs cellular damage. But to think that sleep is a passive state where our bodies are simply quiescent and there's nothing really going on upstairs in the mind is an absolute falsehood. And we made that mistake for a long time, thinking that sleep was just this sort of passive, negotiable state. Upstairs in the brain, for example, during some stages of sleep, particularly rapid eye movement sleep, which is the stage from which most of our dreaming occurs, some parts of your brain are 30% more active than when you're awake. So your brain metabolically is on fire. You know, if I were to place you inside the MRI scanner at my sleep center, you know, and show you the pattern of brain activity during REM sleep, yeah, it's an explosion of activity. In fact, if I were to measure your brainwave activity and just measure your activity from your brainwave during REM sleep, I could not tell the difference between you in REM sleep versus you awake, because those two patterns of brainwave sort of oscillations are almost identical. I have to measure other things to be able to determine whether you're in sleep or in wakefulness. To go a little bit further, to sort of scratch deeper for REM sleep, one of the other remarkable things is that your brain paralyzes your body during REM sleep. And most people don't know this, but you are in a muscular incarceration. You are physically incarcerated during REM sleep. Why is this? Well, it's a beautiful mechanism. Your brain paralyzes your body so your mind can dream safely. So you stop acting out your dreams, or you don't act out your dreams. Because you can imagine that if it's dark, you're not conscious of your surroundings, you're not processing the outside world, and you're dreaming about being, you know, the ultimate sort of cage fighter, or you dream that you can fly, you're going to be popped out of the gene pool very quickly if you start acting out your dreams. So there's a mechanism in place. Occasionally, and particularly in males over the age of sort of 40 or 50, that mechanism can start to degrade. You have what's called rapid eye movement behavioral disorder, or REM sleep behavioral disorder, and you act out your dreams violently sometimes. So that's a good example of how REM sleep is fervently active. I mean, to go to the lengths of, you know, paralyzing all of your spinal cord neurons so that your brain can get this thing called dreaming and act out this bizarre experience at night is stunning. But that's not to also say that the other stage of sleep, which is called non-rapid eye movement sleep, isn't essential and active. It very much is. Non-REM sleep is subdivided into 4 separate stages, what we call unimaginatively stages 1 through 4, increasing in their depth of sleep. So stages 3 and 4 of non-REM are that really sort of deep restorative sleep that if you were woken up out of, you would sort of feel groggy. You could even answer a telephone call if it was brief, put it back, and someone would say, "God, thanks so much for helping me out last night." And you'll say, "You called me? I don't remember." So deep sleep is also what we call slow wave sleep. And the reason it's named slow wave sleep is because when I look at your brain waves, if I were to measure your sleep tonight, when you go into deep sleep, you all of a sudden just get these huge, powerful, deep brain waves, but they're very slow. They're maybe going up and down, maybe just sort of 2 or 3 times a second. Now, what does that mean? As a reference point, when you're awake, your brain waves are going up and down maybe 40, 50, 60 times a second, incredibly fast. When you go into deep sleep, they just go into this very slow, rhythmic chant. It's almost this mantra of brainwave activity. And again, we were fooled as scientists 30 years ago because we looked at that and it seemed very similar to other states that we see in coma and states of anesthesia. So we just thought, well, the brain is just dormant and it's not doing anything, clearly. Completely incorrect. It is during deep sleep when we do a lot of information processing. And it's particularly during deep sleep when we take memories that we've recently learned and we essentially cement them into the architecture of the brain. In fact, it's during deep sleep that there is this elegant file transfer mechanism that happens where your brain shifts memories from a short-term vulnerable reservoir to a more permanent long-term storage site within the brain. And that means that you are essentially protecting those memories. It's like taking files from a USB stick and putting them safely onto a hard drive. That happens during deep sleep.
And you tested this at Harvard, didn't you?
Yeah.
You would teach people some certain tasks, and then based on the night's sleep they got that night, they would either learn them quicker the next day or not be able to progress. Right? I mean, you really tested. I remember reading some of your research back in the day, I think. So.
Yeah, so we've done a lot of these studies with sleep and memory. And so you need sleep after learning to sort of do that memory transfer so that you remember, so that deep sleep essentially future-proofs that information within your brain, so that you wake up and you've retained rather than you forget. And in fact, you can get so accurate with sort of this understanding sleep that by the time you wake up in the morning, even before I test you, I can predict with high accuracy how much you will have remembered. That's how predictive sleep is. So you need sleep after learning, but you also need sleep, however, before learning. But now to actually prepare your brain, a little bit like a dry sponge, ready to initially soak up new information. And without sleep, the memory circuits of the brain essentially become waterlogged, as it were, and you can't absorb information. Wow. So you need sleep on both sides of the learning equation. Sleep to prepare the soil of the brain for fertile sort of seeding of the information, and then you need sleep afterwards to germinate it and secure those roots so that you don't forget and you will always remember.